Hello and welcome to all the barbarians out there. I'm Joe. Here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
Remember, no pics allowed.
Of course not. Savage barbarians.
Yep. We begin chapter 3 of A Witch Shall Be Born, avec Astrius, man possibly of Hyborian descent, having journeyed east, or I think southeast, to learn all that he could. He's on a quest of knowledge, which is a very noble quest, as long as it is in dark knowledge. And he's writing to Alcimedes, I think that's how you pronounce it, of Koth. Astrius has advanced to Conan, which is located near the desert, east of Shem. It seems that Salome has decided to genocide all the men who are armed, seizing their weapons and killing them, or enslaving them. Those that didn't escape, that is, or die fighting. Those men capable of wielding arms, and fit enough, these men were slaughtered, or sacrificed, or enslaved, with the women having been given over to the lust of the mercenaries if they were eligible. When I say eligible, I mean they're youthful enough. Those who were too old were probably sacrificed. Not that there would have been a great many given the time period, and very few survived to old age in such darker times. Many other women were also sold into slavery, as said, and the Shemites are determined to serve Constantius, who acts as all but royal consort. Well, the Zuagirs apparently detest Shemites. Who could blame them under these circumstances? Apparently, Salome has an intense hatred of Ishtar and has thrown the worship of Ishtar over in favor of idols and demons, whom she sacrifices people to, notably about 500 people of the city too. Valerius, a young soldier, the one we met at the beginning of the story, has guessed the truth and has come to believe Conan. In turn, Taramis has been abused for 7 months and violated by Constantius and his guards, I imagine, for that on occasion during that time. And Salome has a gift for her, which is to say the head of a grandfatherly old counselor who doted on Taramis, with Taramis reduced to tears again. And Salome informs her torturers of her sister, basically, I'm gonna find a new way to torment her every day. And it doesn't need to be physical. I know of certain ways to torture her emotionally. Taramis, and after all the non-disfiguring torture that's been inflicted on her, Taramis basically reached the point of saying, just do away with me, I'm done with this. But then there were new ways of breaking her that were discovered by Salome, because Salome's a monster. But I really liked the letter writing part to this chapter. I really liked it.
With a different approach.
It reminded me of Cicero and Atticus from Roman history.
And it is a writing style that
Bram Stoker perfected. Chapter 4 sees Olgerd, chief of the desert now, because he's gone from a lowly bandit to ruling over a great many criminals, I guess you could say, and raiders. The trouble is, he's imagining that in another year, they may have 3 times 11,000 men, which is to say about 33,000 men. And that at that point, they can start raids on Turanian outposts in city-states to the west, but with 30 to 40,000 men, they would no longer be raiding, as he puts it in his words. They would invade, conquer, and establish themselves. The goal of Olgerd is to be Emperor of Shem, with Conan as his vizier, so long as Conan follows his orders unquestioningly. As Olgerd has become convinced that all of Conan's victories and successes are his own, he's delusional.
he's arrogant.
The trouble is, victory has unmanned and defeated him. Conan rejects his plans immediately. At which point there's a funny description made of Conan, and I'm using this as the working title to this video as it's too good not to make use of. Dan knows what I mean. It's a good hater. So that's the title of this video. How Conan became a good hater.
People, take notes.
Screw Razor Fist. Conan has him trumped as a hater. I'm joking. Actually, I'm fond of Razor Fist's channel, as Dan well knows. But this is also how Conan became a Cossack. That is to say, some sort of Eastern bandit captain. This is how his raids in the Tyranian and Hyrcanian regions started. Which, this is very important lore. And so this makes this a very important story. The counselor who was killed earlier was Krelides. I forgot to mention his name. I want to mention names like that because for lore purposes, as these are also lore videos. Conan apparently has 3,000 Hyborians under arms and in place, and plans to use them to lure out his enemies from the city of Coran in order to kill Constantius and his men, or at least capture Constantius. He wants to draw out Constantius out into the plain and surround and destroy him, with the Hyborian horsemen fighting in a solid wedge. Olgerd is angry that Conan has, without his knowledge, been recruiting men, as he fears that Conan has laid claim to their allegiance and neglected to have them swear oaths to Olgerd. And he demands, "Do you deem yourself chief already?" Has an unusual punishment in mind for Conan. "I'll have you torn between 4 palm trees." And Conan tells him, "Call the men and bid them do it. See if they obey you." It turns out that Olgerd had lied to Conan. "You lied when you said I had nothing to do with bringing in the new recruits. I had everything to do with it. They took your orders, but they fought for me. There is not room for 2 chiefs of the Zuagirs. They know I am the stronger man. I understand them better than you, and they me, because I am a barbarian too. And what will they say when you ask them to fight for Coran? They'll follow me. I'll promise them a camel train of gold from the palace. Coran will be willing to pay that as a guerdon for getting rid of Constantius. After that, I'll lead them against the Turanians as you have planned. They want loot, and they'd as soon fight Constantius for it as anybody." Olgerd recognizes that he's defeated here, decides he's going to try to slay Conan. Conan, in a demonstration of physical might and of how awesome he is, breaks his forearm. And Olgerd is mocked with, "Are you fit to live, Olgerd?" in mockery to how he had treated Conan before. And Conan tells him, "I give you life, Olgerd, as you gave it to me. Though it was for your own ends that you took me down from the cross. It was a bitter test you gave me then. You couldn't have endured it. Neither could anyone but a Western barbarian." While Olgerd flees, refusing to stay in humiliation. And I'll actually say that to an extent you could take it as an act of cowardice, to another I'm actually going to say that I cannot kind of understand his decision as an act of pride, as I've been dethroned, but you'll not have me. Like, I'm not going to become your lackey, and I'm not going to humiliate myself before you and grovel. So I'm going to take myself out of the situation and walk away.
He should consider himself lucky that after stabbing Conan in the back, he got to keep his life.
Yeah, well, he attempted to stab him from the front, but that didn't work out. I actually think that there's a certain respectability about it. He's not going to act like a treacherous snake in the grass, but nor is he going to lower himself to being a lackey to some other man. So he just walks away.
If he wants to carve out his own kingdom, now he learned how to do it and how to do it off his own back. And Conan essentially took everything from him.
Yeah, rightfully so. And you have Conan, whose last line in this chapter to his newfound lackeys is, "Aye, you dogs, sharpen your ears and listen. Gather around here. I have a tale to tell you." And so ends chapter 4. And thus, Conan becomes the very best of haters. So don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Conan taking down his enemies.